Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1867B, and today's date is May 14th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Deep State Didn't See This Coming, The Secret Weapon Revealed. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about being prepared. Now, we know there's natural disasters, and we know there's the deep state that likes to push a certain agenda. We know the deep state, they could do just about anything. Ask yourself this question. If the power went out for weeks or your credit card was of no use, could you feed your family? Could you survive? If the answer is no, it's time to act. I like to use my Patriot Supply for my emergency food supply. You should too. These food kits include breakfast, lunches, and dinners that last up to 25 years. So prepare with X22.com. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, every day that passes, it seems like it's getting worse and worse for the deep state. Their panic started at like level 1, now it's at level 5, and now we're going into the red zone here. Because Barr, well, he revealed his secret weapon, Durham. And we'll be talking about that in just a minute. But I wanted to go back to Giuliani and how he said he was taking his trip to Ukraine. And Trump said, yes, I agree, he should be going to Ukraine. And we know why he was going to Ukraine. He was going to tell them to, you know what, continue with the investigations. We're very interested. We want to know all about it. And he kept pointing the finger at Biden. And it looks like Biden made a move. Now, remember, the Patriots, they're on the offensive. The deep state, they're on the defensive. And it looks like Biden is out there and he is defending himself in regards to Ukraine, in regards to his son. Joe Biden denied that his son Hunter Biden asked him for a favor in Ukraine while serving on the energy board of Ukrainian energy company. He said, "We never once discussed it when he was there. There's not a single bit of evidence that's been shown in any reporting that's been done that he ever talked about it with me or asked any government official for a favor." Just because it's not in the mainstream media or reported doesn't mean there is not evidence. Remember, who was controlling the mainstream media back then? It was them. Why would the mainstream media actually report anything like this? They wouldn't. You don't think there's other evidence? Of course there is. Do you think Biden went ahead and started to cover up everything that he was doing before? Or telling people to destroy things or get rid of things or, hey, don't speak to anyone? Remember, Hunter Biden, he was paid as much as $50,000 per month while serving on the board as his father led the Obama administration policy with Ukraine. Remember, when he was vice president, Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion in loan guarantees for Ukraine if officials did not fire the country's top prosecutor, who was pursuing a corruption investigation of an energy company while his son Hunter was serving on the board. What are they doing today? They are continuing the investigation. So just because it's not out in the mainstream media doesn't mean they, and I'm talking about those individuals in Ukraine, the prosecutors there, it doesn't mean that they don't have the information. So it looks like Giuliani and Trump, their plan worked. The deep state, they are panicking because of what Barr just did. Once again, the New York Times is trying to get ahead of the story. And they revealed that Bill Barr has instructed U.S. Attorney John Durham to review the origins of the 2016 Department of Justice and FBI surveillance of the Trump campaign. The appointment looks like a way to keep the sensitive inquiry within Barr's control as opposed to appointing a special counsel. Remember, Q has always been saying, you don't need a special counsel. John Durham, the U.S. Attorney from Connecticut, has handled previous investigations into the intelligence community. Now, John Durham, he's a United States Attorney in Connecticut, has a history of serving as a special prosecutor investigating potential wrongdoings among national security officials, including the FBI tie to a crime boss in Boston and accusations of CIA abuses of detainees. Mr. Durham was nominated by Trump in 2017 and has been a Justice Department lawyer since 1982, has conducted special investigations under administrations of both parties. Attorney General Janet Reno asked Mr. Durham in 1999 to investigate the FBI's handling of a notorious informant, the organized crime leader James Bulger. In 2008, Attorney General Michael B. Mukasey assigned Mr. Durham to investigate the CIA's destruction of videotapes in 2005 showing the torture of terrorism suspects. A year later, Attorney General Eric Holder Jr. expanded Mr. Durham's mandate to also examine whether the agency broke any laws in its abuse of detainees in its custody. So Durham is not there to just be around and look at what is going on to make sure that the FBI did everything correctly. He is there because he's investigating a crime. And we know that James Baker, well, it looks like he's under investigation for leaking to the media. We know that Jordan and Meadows, they sent a letter to Durham, the U.S. Attorney for Connecticut, and requested additional information about the probe later this month. They said, as we continue our oversight and investigative work, we felt it prudent to write to you seeking an update without being apprised of the contours of your leak investigation and Baker's role. We run the risk of inadvertently interfering with your prosecutorial plans. So there's been an investigation going on right now, and it looks like Jordan and Meadows, they already knew about this. Now, Trey Gowdy was having a discussion with Sean Hannity and offered prosecutor John Durham some advice. Take a listen to what Gowdy said.
That there was a fraud committed against the FISA court, withholding that Hillary paid for that dossier, and that, in fact, the bulk of evidence was unverifiable, and that they never verified whether anything Steele wrote is true, and did they do it to spy on the Trump campaign, sir?
Sean, I can tell you it is even worse than what you described. It is what you described in addition to the withholding of exculpatory information, which is what has Johnny Ratcliffe so exercised. And they made no effort to corroborate the dossier until after it had been used in the application and a renewal. No effort. It's not that they failed. They made no effort to do it.
Last question.
So whoever's investigating this, tell them to look for emails between Brennan and Comey in December of 2016.
Now, as you can see, Gowdy is telling the investigator, hey, take a look at the emails between Brennan and Comey in December 2016. And Gowdy is pointing the investigator in a certain direction. Now, former Deputy Assistant U.S. Attorney General in the Office of Legal Counsel, John Yoo, he was being interviewed on Fox, and he said something really interesting, that Durham is not there to make sure that the FBI was doing everything correctly, that there was procedural problems. Durham is there because he's investigating criminal activity, and the Democrats should be worried. Listen to what he said here.
If I were the Democrats, I would be quite worried. And the reason why is by appointing a U.S. attorney, Attorney General Barr is essentially signaling that he thinks it's possible that criminal violations occurred in the start of the whole investigation into any kind of Trump-Russia collusion. As Judge Starr said, there's already an Inspector General investigation going on that's going to come to a conclusion. That's what you would do if you were just interested in reforming the way the department does things, the way decisions were made. But you wouldn't go with a U.S. attorney like Durham, someone of his stature, unless the Attorney General thinks actually something criminal might have happened, that someone might have violated the law, that there might have been malfeasance, that people at the FBI or the Justice Department were acting out of partisan motives, not just out of incompetence or stupidity, or they were duped by the Russians or Steele or the English or by the Clinton campaign. So if you were a Democrat, I think you would be really worried to see the appointment of a career prosecutor like this.
And I do believe the deep state, they are starting to panic now. They have lost all control of what they were trying to do. And now the magnifying glass has turned, and it's turned toward the deep state, where the investigators are looking very, very closely at what these individuals have done. James Clapper is out there. He's being interviewed on CNN, And he's saying, whoa, we should slow down here. I don't think we should investigate the investigators until we get the OIG report. Let's wait until the report comes out, and then we can start doing other things. Well, remember, that's just one piece of it. There are many other investigations going on right now, and you can see that these individuals, they're starting to panic right now, and they're worried about what is happening. And we need to remember something very, very important. That with every FISA request back in 2016 to spy on Trump, it was signed by Obama's Attorney General Loretta Lynch. So back then, the Obama administration, they had to sign each and every one of these. In March 2017, Trump tweeted that former President Obama had petitioned a court at least twice in order to wiretap current President Trump when he was running for office. In his first tweet, President Trump tweeted the following: "Terrible, just found out that Obama had my wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism." Then the president tweeted the following: "Is it legal for a sitting president to be wiretapping a race for president prior to an election? Turned down by court earlier, a new low." A very disturbing fact about the wiretapping request of Trump is that the FISA court turned down Obama's administration's first request to wiretap President Trump that was evidently signed off by Attorney General Loretta Lynch. With only 2 known applications denied out of 10,700 from 2009 through 2015, the fact that the Obama administration's application was denied by the FISA court is very disturbing. The odds of this happening were 0.02%. And remember, Loretta Lynch signed off on this. Now, Barr's probe is much larger than everyone thinks. He is probing interagency efforts. He's working with CIA Chief Haspel, DNI Coates, and FBI boss Wray on Spygate. So they are all working together. This is a broader interagency effort which is underway. And who are they investigating? Well, most likely CIA Chief John Brennan, DNI Chief James Clapper, the FBI Director James Comey. They were all involved in promoting the phony Hillary-funded dossier and pass it around the various intel agencies. Now you can understand why the deep state is attacking Bill Barr. They no longer have control over the Justice Department. Barr will be investigating all of it, and he'll be following the rule of law. They've lost their blocks. There's no more people that are there that are on their side. They are no longer on offensive. They are now on defense. And they see the walls closing in on them. And something that we just learned is that John Durham, he wasn't brought in today or yesterday. He began investigating Spygate weeks ago. He was already working on it, working directly with IG Horowitz on FISA abuses. This has already been in the works. And the deep state, they just found out about it now. We knew there were investigations going on. We knew that Barr was investigating all this. Remember when Q told us when Barr first came in, what he saw was just unbelievable. And we can see now they're going after the deep state. Now, we have Boom Week ahead. And we know that the watch says the 19th. Will it happen on the 19th? Well, there's a lot of times that Q uses disinformation, throw off the deep state. But we know if Q says that it is coming, it is coming. Q is not going to give us an exact date because if we know, then the deep state knows. So it looks like it is definitely coming. We just don't have the exact point in time. Now, it could be the 19th at 4:50. Or it could be a day after or a day before. This is being done on purpose because they know that the deep state will use some type of an event to clog the news cycle. Now, Pompeo, he is out in Russia. He's meeting with Lavrov. And both of them, they are agreeing that they need to work together. And Pompeo told Lavrov that two countries may not agree on everything, but there was room for cooperation, particularly on counterterrorism and nuclear nonproliferation. And now Trump has the freedom to deal with Putin, to deal with Lavrov, and to speak to them, just like he speaks to Xi. Now, the deep state, they are doing everything they possibly can to start a war with Iran. And I believe these false flags will probably intensify, but I think Trump and the Patriots, they realize that these are false flags. Now, coming out of the news, it says Iran or Iranian-backed proxies used explosives to blast large holes in 4 ships moored off the coast of the United Arab Emirates. And the United States is looking into this. Now, the official who spoke on condition of anonymity said each vessel sustained a 5 to 10 foot hole below or at the waterline, and the belief is that the holes were caused by explosive charges. Now, maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But the point is, all they're going to do at this point with these small little explosives, they're going to point the finger at Iran. Now, we need to remember that Iran has not started a war in over 200 years. Yes, they've been in wars, but I don't believe Iran itself is going to start a war. Now, the deep state players, that is a different story, because they would like to start a war because they know what is coming. And right on schedule, right on cue, we see that the New York Times put out an article saying that the U.S. is planning 120,000 troops to counter Iran. Now, once again, Trump is not going to bring in troops into Iran. First of all, it'll have to be a lot more than 120,000. Second of all, when anything happens around the world, the military takes precautions and they say, okay, if something happens, we need a plan. Now, is this a plan to invade? No. Let's go back in time for a sec. Remember when North Korea was firing their missiles and McMaster's was there by the side of Trump, and McMaster's was out there telling the press that we are getting prepared to go into North Korea. They're already drawing up plans. Well, did it ever happen? No. Remember Syria, after Trump started to fire missiles at Syria at certain targets? The news reports were out there saying that there's about 100,000 troops ready to go on the border to invade Syria. Did that ever happen? Well, remember, those missile strikes weren't against Assad. They weren't against Russia. They were against the deep state. Actually, in Syria, what happened? Oh, that's right. Trump said we're removing the troops. Oh, in North Korea, did we go to war? No. What happened there? Peace. The same thing with Iran. This is a deep state ploy to try to push war. And it's not going to work. Actually, Trump is already out there, and he's denied the report that came out of the New York Times saying this is fake news. He says, but if I wanted to do it, I would probably do more. I wouldn't do 120,000. But again, Trump is not a warmonger. He's a negotiator. And this is what he does. Actually, out in Iran, the Iranian supreme leader said, listen, we are not going to be starting a war with the United States. That's not what we do here. There'll be no war. And Trump is not going to start a war. He's allowing Bolton to do what he does best. And he's allowing the mainstream media to publish and to push out all these fake news. First of all, it exposes all these individuals. And it shows that they're not really reporting news. They're pushing their agenda. They have an agenda in Venezuela. They have an agenda in Iran, and that is war, regime change. Trump has a different agenda. Actually, he just wants the Iranian people, the government, to call him to renegotiate the Iranian nuclear deal, or whatever deal they're going to be calling it. We have to remember John Kerry has been going to Iran and telling the Iranians on what to do. Now, of course, John Kerry, who is an American, is going to Iran to tell the Iranians not to listen to the president of the United States. So is John Kerry working for the United States, or is he working for another group? Because why would he go out to another country to tell them not to work with the President of the United States? I mean, isn't that treason? I mean, Trump actually pointed to John Kerry and said he's in violation of the Logan Act. But something very interesting is that the senior official of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran says the country has a host of different measures to take if its nuclear case is sent back to the UN Security Council, including quitting the nuclear deal it clinched with major world powers back in 2015. They're saying that they might have the ability to get out of the deal. They might be able to quit it. Now, this is the second or third time that we heard that Iran is trying to figure out how to quit the deal. Now, they're putting pressure on Europe. Pompeo is out in Europe saying, listen, we need your assistance here. We want to get rid of this deal. We want to make a new deal. Remember, there are black sites in all these countries. There's deep state players in these countries. I mean, look at John Kerry right out in the open. They're not even hiding anymore. They're just doing it right out in the open. And Trump is allowing Bolton to bring these warships over to Iran because they know Bolton means business. Now, is Trump just going to allow Bolton to do whatever he wants? Of course not. Everyone believes that Bolton is in control. He's not. Everyone thought McMaster's was in control. Everyone thought that all these individuals that were war hawks, they were all in control. Where are they today? Nowhere to be found. They're all gone. Who is in control? Trump, the patriots. He uses these individuals to do what needs to be done. Think again, optics. And these individuals who are neocons, those in the mainstream media, they know Bolton means business. But they don't realize that on top of him, with strings attached to his hands, legs, and mouth, is Trump telling him what to do. Everyone believes it's the opposite way. No, Trump is in control of Bolton. Bolton is not in control of Trump. Because if this was true, you would see McMaster still there. You would see all those individuals that were there who are now gone still there. But now they're gone. So the deep state, they are panicking. They need to have some type of an event. Remember, they have nothing left. All their blocks are gone. The people in the FBI, Department of Justice, they're all gone. They've been removed over time. A lot of the swamp has been removed. And the only thing they have left is events. And this is what they're trying to use right now. And this is why they're saving up one of their events for when the information comes out. And I'm talking about the Comey information, the D-Class, the OIG report. They used a lot of their ammunition already. Does this mean they're completely empty? No. So coming up very soon, probably next week or the week after, we're going to most likely see another event that will clog the news cycle. And most likely the Patriots will let that die down, and then they'll release what they need to release. The deep state is doomed. Barr just released the secret weapon. Actually, it's been released a while back. They just found out about it. And a lot of information is going to be coming out, and they have no place to hide. Their blocks are gone. Everything's done. Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.